Welcome to another video. Today we'll discuss about natural resources. A resource fulfills human needs. Anything that is useful can be defined as resource. So things that are not useful or cannot fulfill human needs are considered as waste. And at the same time, whether a material is resource or waste, that depends on time and technology also. The same thing at a particular time may be considered as waste, and at other time, with the advancement of the technology, the same thing may become resource. So this is one of the more meaningful definition for resource. Resource is a source or supply from which a benefit is produced and that has some utility. So resource sustain our life in this planet. There are 2 points of views to look at the resources. From economic point of view, resource is human-centric. In economics, a resource is defined as a service or other asset used to produce goods and services that meet human needs and wants. The word human is used, that means it is human-centric. But in biological point of view or ecological point of view, the definition is not human-centric, but nature-centric or biocentric or ecocentric. In biology and ecology, a resource is defined as a substance that is required by a living organism for normal growth, maintenance and reproduction. So it targets the word organism as a whole. So whole organism is addressed from biological definition of resource, and in economic definition of resource, the word human is stressed. So if we become more human-centric, there will be more exploitation on these natural resources, and rapid depletion of the resources is expected. So natural resource includes some valued characteristics, like natural resources have some commercial value and also industrial values. It has got the aesthetic values other than commercial and industrial values, and it has scientific interest, and it has also some cultural values. And resources in a broad sense may include air, mineral deposits, it may including the fossil fuels, plants, crops and vegetation, soil, water and wildlife including flora and fauna, that is plant life and animal life. Classification of resources or natural resources. There are various methods of classifying natural resources. This includes the source of origin. On the basis of source, the natural resources can be classified. Stage of development, and also by their renewability. So we will concentrate on 2 aspects of classification of resources. First we will see the renewable and non-renewable resources. So these are 2 major classification of resources. Renewable resources that replaces from time to time, and they have a life cycle, and a continuous harvest is possible. So after a particular time, the renewable resources get regenerated after the cycle is complete, and so in that pace we can exploit the resource, and that will not affect on the total capital of the renewable resources. Another is non-renewable type of resources. Resources which are not regenerated because they do not have any life cycle and are not recycled. So both life cycle is absent and the recycle component is not there. So as a result, if we go on using the non-renewable resources, one day it will deplete or the stock will be less. Renewable resources include wildlife, including plants and animal life, aquatic life, pastures and forest. And there are many opinions about whether water is a renewable type of resource or not. So plant, that means crops and forests, etc., and animal like milk and meat production replaces from time to time because they have a life cycle and a continuous harvest is possible. Some resources do not have life cycle but can be recycled. The resources like water are also classified as renewable, but the overexploitation of the water may exceed the life cycle capacity or renewable capacity. In that case, the same water will behave like non-renewable resources. So non-renewable resources are mineral deposits formed very slowly over millions of years and once used cannot be regenerated. Mineral resources. For example, fossil fuels such as petrol and coal, and it was deposited after millions of years and those things cannot be regenerated for many million years. The formation of soil takes thousands of years and is not renewable in the lifespan of many generations. It is therefore considered as non-renewable resources. So within our few generations, we cannot expect the soil to be formed if we destroy the quality of soil because of the overexploitation or intensive agriculture and other activities. So we cannot get the soil quality back. There are another classification of resources, that is exhaustible resource and inexhaustible resource. Exhaustible resources are, say, resources like coal, petrol, etc. are classified as exhaustible because their deposits on this planet are finite. For example, coal, petrol, mineral deposits, their deposit is finite, and if we go on using this, one day it will the stock will be finished, and that is why these are classified as exhaustible resources. So another is inexhaustible resources, like which are not changed by man's activities and are abundantly available and expected to be available for millions of years, like solar energy, wind energy, atomic energy, tidal energy, like this. So renewable sources can also be classified as inexhaustible because they can be managed properly and renewed. For example, we have discussed the two things. Water is renewable, but water is renewable and it is inexhaustible only when we manage properly and keep on using water for millions of years. But if the management is not proper, then water will be no more inexhaustible because the fresh water or pure water will not be available for the population of the earth. Conservation and resource management. Natural resources are the basis of human life. Sustainable use of natural resource is the key word when we target conservation and resource management. Renewable resources such as plants and animals become extinct if not managed properly. They are maintainable, but purely exhaustible resources like fossil fuel and some other minerals are not maintainable. The behavior of a resource depends on how we use it or how we manage it. For example, if water, plants, animals, etc. are managed properly, those resources will be available for many years to come. But overuse or abuse of these resources will make them exhaustible, and some of them will be extinct from the planet. Already many plants and animals have extinct. We use natural resources to satisfy our needs and wants. Eating, drinking, growing food, making clothes, building houses, and transport. These are some areas in which we keep on using the natural resources. But natural resources are not infinitely available for human use. So it is very important to conserve and manage the natural resources so that our next generations to come can enjoy the same natural resources like us. So sustainable use of natural resources are very important. Management refers to sustainable utilization of major natural resources such as land, water, air, mineral, forest, fisheries, and wild flora and fauna. So the advantages of this are that if we manage the natural resources, we can stop or decrease the rate of degradation or destruction of the environment as well as the natural resources. Solve the water balance problem. So as we have mentioned, water may behave like renewable and non-renewable based on the use or management we are doing for conservation of the water. So if we do not conserve or manage water resource properly, then it will become non-renewable. Due to the management and conservation, the quality or condition of the resources will improve due to management, and that will ensure sustainable use of natural resources. So here, sustainable management of natural resource is needed for these three factors: avoid degradation, solve problems on water resources like water, and improve the conditions. Conservation is like preservation. So conservation is related to the protection of nature or natural resources. If the resources are not used wisely, it would create an imbalance in the environment. Sustainable use of natural resources ensure conservation. In other words, conservation is the skillful management and preservation of resources. For future generations, we have to adopt the conservation on management of the natural resources. So in short, the conservation can be defined like this. Conservation ensures a continuous yield of renewable materials and protection of non-renewable resources from wastage and rapid depletion. So to target the wastage and rapid depletion of the natural resources, the conservation measures are required. So it's a wise principle of coexistence between man and nature. To ensure continued use of nature or natural resources, man should coexist with nature so that both can be benefited for a longer period of time. The approaches are: for renewable resources, the extraction or harvesting the annual yield to ensure sustainable use. And for non-renewable resources, proper management through protection and stop wastage or overuse of resources. So, the conservation and management of natural resources are extremely essential for sustainable use of resources for sustainable development. This is a very common term nowadays, sustainable development. We also say long-term development, very long-term development, or sustainable use of natural resources. Sustainable development is the development to meet the needs of the present generation without compromising with the ability to meet the needs of the future generations. So with this, today we conclude about natural resources. In the next videos, we will discuss in details the conservation policies and plans.